we had exactly the same thoughts and exactly the same symptoms, even though we were in different fields: police, army, navy, and fire service. And that's when I thought, and they all thought the same as well. It's like, wow,
I'm not alone.
Yeah, not alone.
Hello, everybody. My name's Kyl Reber, and welcome to another episode of the Kyl Reber podcast. This is a podcast where I interview a lot of people that I know and a lot of people that are quite famous that you may not know, and people that are very ordinary people living very extraordinary lives that you'd walk past on the street and have no idea that they're doing as cooler stuff as they do. This guy that I have on the other side of the screen, or I will be interviewing, he is a very interesting guy. And as I said off air, this is also interesting for me because as much as I know who he is, I have only really interacted with him on a few occasions, but I've heard nothing but interesting things about him. And I hopefully find out a little bit more this time around. So without any further ado, Wayne Spear, how are you, sir? And welcome.
Thank you, Cole. Great to be here.
This is Wayne's first podcast. This is Wayne's first podcast. He's
yeah, a bit of a novice.
But we've had a little bit of a, I don't know if I call it a coaching session, but we've had a little bit of a run through off air, and we're going to go straight into it because I'm very interested to hear some answers and touch on a few things with this particular one. So Wayne got a list of 10 questions a few days ago, and the process is that our guests get sent these questions. They have a little bit of time to think about them. Some are harder than others. Some have got different answers than you might think. And we just work our way through them, knowing full well we're going to go off on more than one tangent. But question one. Birth to now in 7 minutes. 3, 2, 1, go. It's never 7 minutes. Anyway.
No. Well, I was born in 1962, Kyle.
Jesus.
That was the same year salt and vinegar chips were invented.
All right. I told you, I'm learning straight away, like 2 minutes in, already learning.
Marilyn Monroe died that year, apparently, as well. And Spider-Man made his first appearance in a comic.
Now you're talking.
So that was a good year. I was born in Perth, in Western Australia, in a small suburb. We lived near the coast, so a lot of my activities were done on the beach, surf lifesaving, surfing, skateboarding, that type of thing. Went to school, got an interest in swimming.
Mm-hmm. So you've been active since day one?
Yeah. Got quite okay in swimming, joined a club and competed. Also played AFL footy, my main sports. Then as a young teenager, I got introduced to judo. That was just at a local PCYC hall on the floorboards and that. I don't think I stuck there too long because all the throws on the boards were pretty demanding and an accident waiting to happen. But when I think about it now, it toughened me up because I often in the classes that I do, sometimes I go out on the street and do my break falls with the class and bowling and on the road or the bitumen on the grass. And just to say that everything's not a matted floor these days. Like we both know when we first started, we didn't have all these equipment.
No, definitely not.
Then when I was about a teenager, I was into surf lifesaving.
Yep.
Then I was watching a karate grading at the Surf Club Hall.
Okay.
And there were these two guys named Rod Stroud and Noel Watson were doing this grading, and I just thought, wow, I want to be like these two guys.
So how old were you then?
I was maybe 18.
Okay.
17, 18. Yeah, they were just so good at what they did and tough and knew how to give out pain as well as conceal it. And just, I thought it was, a good way to, I wanted to be like them, basically. So that's when I joined. At it around the same time, I wanted to row surf boats as well.
Okay.
So I got into that. Got told I was too small. I was only 72 kilos.
I'm going to say I find that hard to believe now, but anyway.
Yeah, so you had to like apply and do like a test to get into the surf club, into the surf boat rowing. So I did okay technique-wise, but they said I wasn't strong enough or big enough. So I thought, no, well, that's not going to be right. So I spent the whole next year joining a gym, lifting weights, using a pool worker. Remember those things?
Yeah, yep. God.
Drinking a lot of milk and protein powder.
yeah. The old like full bottle, full 2-liter bottle of milk kind of situation.
Raw eggs.
Oh God.
Anyway, I met this guy who trained as well, and he is a power lifter. And he got me on this training program, and I trained with him every day for a year and went from like 72 kilos to 85. And then we did the test the following summer and got in.
Excellent.
And that paid off because I ended up representing the state 3 or 4 times and won state titles and everything. So, and I'm still doing it today. I'm coaching crews today. So it was one of those things that I'm glad I did.
So going back a step there, you were very active through those younger years sport, and then like you got that little exhibit of Zendo Kai and what that was about. School, were you too busy playing sport to worry about school, or was it because you did play sport, you did good at school?
Actually, I did not too bad at school because my parents bought me a beanbag because I've got all A's in my was it achievement certificate for year 10?
Oh yeah, they've probably changed names 6 times.
Went up to year 10, did okay. Did a year 11, was struggling with the hardest subjects, physics and maths and stuff. So I only lasted till year 11, and then I became an electrician.
Okay. And
schooling wasn't too bad, but it wasn't like my favorite thing.
So then become a Sparky, still rowing the surf boats.
Yes.
Karate was in the background, but not in the foreground as yet.
Sort of. When I started full on. Trained seriously every day. But I was doing this other stuff as well. I was kept quite busy.
Yeah, right. So you weren't probably a 18-year-old surfy party sort of kid. You were too busy training.
Well, sometimes I did both. Got home from a nightclub 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. went in a marathon.
As you do.
and believe it or not, did okay at it. Yeah, my mate couldn't believe it.
I would kind of believe that.
He's on the way, but it's the type of thing I did. I like pushing myself. And
was that the work ethic side of things? Because again, like, you've pretty much every sport you've chosen to do, you've started to really excel. Parents, high work ethic, siblings, high work ethic, or?
Dad worked. Mum was, what do they call them? Home.
Stay-at-home mum?
Stay-at-home mum. Well, I think she had a part-time job at a fruit and veg shop. So when I moved out of home, I'd always go and get my fruit and veggies from her, and she'd give me double of what I paid for. Dad, they were just the average family. We worked hard. I think the dad always told me, if you're going to do something, do it right.
Yeah.
So I'm one of those guys that if I'm going to do it, I do it properly.
Were they that sort of family? Because again, all this like the surf boat rowing and that sort of thing, Was there a bit of travel involved with that sort of stuff, or like it'd be like every weekend? So like there were those parents that were just there at every gig and that sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Story for you. As I went through the surf club career, we got into what this thing was called. You might remember the Nutrigrain Ironman series.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And you went from New South Wales, Queensland every weekend during summer. It was there, Grant Kenny and Guy Leach and Trip Indy, those types of people.
Yeah.
They were doing the Ironman, and I was in the surf boat rowing section.
Yeah.
And one year we got our faces on the back of a Nutrigrain packet.
You would have just thought, I have hit the big time.
Yeah. And got a year's supply of Nutrigrain.
Oh my God.
So
did it actually last a year?
No, because what I did was I got a lot of the boxes and signed them like to my mates, as if I was some sort of celebrity. Do well in your chosen field. And got these Nutrigrain boxes at the front of their house.
That's hilarious. Follow your dreams, Wayne
Smith. Yeah, exactly.
That's fucking funny.
Yeah.
So, let's get to karate. Oh, no, let's go. So, well, do they tie in together? So you weren't a Sparky forever because you're doing...
No, so I left school, did an apprenticeship that lasted 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then I actually, did work as an electrician for probably 10 more years.
Okay.
When I joined the fire brigade, I had my own business as an electrician, and I did that as well as the fire service in my days off.
Bloody hell. Okay.
So it was quite busy then, plus operated a martial art club and did the surf club as well. So I wasn't home much.
Why the change from Sparky to Fiery?
I just liked the outdoor work environment.
Yeah.
Whether it's, I obviously didn't like the disaster and the people effect on people, but I like the action. I like running the fires. I like the rope rescue. I became a rope rescue expert. Jumping off cliffs and buildings and things like that. I like the action and keeping the skills up. You never could get good at something because there was always something else to get good at.
The physicality of the Fireys would have been right up your alley too, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
That would have just been almost second nature from just all the sport and everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I loved the training. When I joined, a lot of the guys were Vietnam vets.
Okay.
So they had
what year are we talking now?
Not 88.
Okay. And so joined the Fireys, got stationed in Perth. So you've basically lived in Perth your whole life?
Yeah. Got stationed in Perth. What happens is you can apply to go to another station or stay in one station and just relieve at these other stations when there's a vacancy. I decided to stay in Perth because it's a bigger station. The variety is a lot more. When I first started, there's 30 guys working there.
Yeah, right.
Now there's only 10 or 11, but it was good working in a team and a lot of guys to blend with, and whereas the suburban stations, there's only 4 people work there.
Yeah, okay.
You could have a variety of personalities.
Yeah.
Whereas in the bigger stations, there's more opportunity to fit in with somebody who's the same interest as you.
Find your groove. So you've essentially worked in the same station your whole career.
Same area. The station changed when it got upgraded, but to a different location. But yeah, the same in the Perth city.
Wow. You would have seen a lot of change in not just the Fireys, but just in the area, just being stationed in that same sort of area, wouldn't you?
Yeah, well, Perth's gone from a city that I think had 100,000 people living in there. Now there'd be 500,000 people living in the city now.
Yeah.
WA would have 2 million people living here, whereas I think that wasn't the case 20 years ago.
It was always my my mum and dad lived in Perth for 18 months before I was born. So it would have been like 70, 72, 73. And yeah, it was, I wouldn't say a country town, but it was kind of still quite away from everything else as far as like the East Coast versus the West Coast of Australia at the time, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because you go to Sydney or Melbourne for holidays and you just go, oh, the traffic lights, and it takes you hours to get places. Whereas we just had one freeway that went north to south, and you're anywhere within half an hour.
And that was that.
Yeah.
Take me back to Zendo Kai and martial arts, which you can, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see Wayne looks like he's sitting in the office of his gym. So it's still a very big part of his life now. So you saw Noel Watson and Rod Stroud, who are both figureheads of the early Zendo Kai years. Where did that go from there?
So I joined with, my mate was doing a grading, so I watched him, and then I decided, oh, I want to join as well. So me and another couple of mates, we joined. And basically I'm the only one that's left.
Because that's 40 odd years of training nearly now?
Yeah, not around 1980, 81.
Okay.
Summer of 80, 81, yeah.
Okay. God.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then good because we'd had summer camps, and Rob would bring over, Bob Jones, Malcolm Anderson, a lot of Queensland guys, because Rob was from Queensland.
Yeah,
it was awesome to train with those guys, and couldn't believe how tough they were and how good they were.
What was your initial, because you said you'd done judo, something with Zendo Kai clicked. So and again, I'm putting some pieces together. You had a very physical sporting upbringing. And then you see that physicality matched in karate, but then you also see these very powerful men. Did just all the pieces fit together as to like, I want to be that, as opposed to, I don't want to do Zendo Kai, I want to be like that?
Yeah, it was more like, how you used to watch karate movies and everything, and the guys were good on TV and on the movies, but these guys were good just in everything, like how they moved. And, not necessarily, could play any sport or anything like that, but how they conducted themselves, they could adapt, whether it be self-defense or whether it would be, it's raining and it's stormy outside. They would just adapt, and nothing would bother them. Like, it's the attitude in your thought pattern that you can change, not the circumstances.
Yeah.
So that's what I sort of got out of it, where if you get yourself in a bad state of mind or feeling depressed, but it's how your take on that is. Someone called you a name or was bullying you, but if you take it badly, well, then you might react badly. But if you take it in another way, you can make your life a lot better by just your attitude towards words and actions.
Yeah, yeah. And someone like probably Rod Stroud in particular, I always tell a story that this is going back, I think, what was this, mid 90s, 94 or something, when Bob Jones, Chief, and Habby Hesk did that shoot fighting tour.
Yep.
And at the time, I remember vividly the Chief saying, Rod is the most complete martial artist we have in the system. And for me, that's always been a real target. I say to people, Rod is one of the reasons that I, got into the jiu-jitsu side of things, because it's always that search for that complete martial artist. And like you said, not just physically, but just in the head as well. He's always, I think I've only actually physically spoken to him maybe twice, but to me, he's always been a benchmark in martial arts. And I totally mean that. Yeah,
well, he used to do demos before fight shows and stuff like that. And he would just pick up a katana and do the most unbelievable sword demonstration. And it's all done without sort of a lot of formal training. So
yeah. Well, there was no YouTube back then,
No. If you saw some of these these demos, you just blow you away because you just don't realise how good these guys are without the putting in the time and work to build up their skills. They're just naturally good, and that's what I think drew me to the training, because they just adapted. And I make it one of my things is to put myself in a situation where I have to adapt to get myself in a better light, and not necessarily in combat, but in work or in life. If I'm in a bad situation, I go, okay, I'll see how I can get out of this. What am I going to do? Can't complain about it. I'll just work my way out of it, see what happens.
And as you said, that attitude would have probably, well, I reckon in your current vocation, it's probably saved your life a couple of times too, maybe, hasn't it? Like it's really come into play.
Yeah.
So Zendo Kai's there, very much in the foreground. You train hard. I'm assuming like get a little bit up in the ranks. Opening a club, was that an organic thing, or was that it's time for you to go and do your thing, or what was the process there?
So stepping back a bit, so I went to Melbourne in 1982 and did a grading there, and I saw high levels. Rod trained me and another guy up to do a black belt grading there. And he wanted to make sure that we would pass. So it was one of the hardest things I've ever done. The Melbourne Town Hall, but I got to mix with all the other guys and stayed at the chief's house and things like that. And then I went back and was instructing back at the club. And then I sort of thought it was my duty to open up a club and expand and help others.
Yeah.
It was hard at first because I was doing all this other sports, or mainly work and boat rowing, and but I ended up doing it all, and started in a hall in a suburb, and then eventually, after a couple of years, I had clubs. I had about 4 or 5 clubs in different halls and suburbs around the place.
Yeah, right.
It got too much because of someone couldn't teach because I was sick or whatever.
What do you
do? And so I just decided to find one location and work out of that. And that way it's all central, and I don't have to worry about anyone not making it.
And that's still to this day?
Yeah, so I did that in 1999, opened a club here, and still going today.
Do you you would have seen a lot of, I guess, not just evolution in Zendo Kai, but just a lot of evolution in the people you train? Like you've probably had people with you for 10, 20 odd years. Is that always like, you know, like I said, the physicality was something you probably craved and you still do to a degree. What's changed now for you in martial arts? Like what gives you the biggest buzz now as opposed to like maybe something that did 30 years ago?
Well, when I first started out, I didn't train kids. Just trained guys in their 20s.
Yeah.
That wanted to spar, that would be okay to go home with a broken nose and a black eye. But I've soon found out that it's not a good way to do business.
Do you look back on that sort of stuff? Like, as I'm sure we all have this point and we all look back and go, fuck, I was such an idiot. But do you just look back and go, that's all we knew. That's what we did.
Yeah. And it was, Zendo Kai back then over here was more of an 18+ thing anyway.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, so now I've had kids that started when they're 3 years old, and now they're 30.
Yeah.
They're still training. It's unbelievable when they bring in their photos or they're bringing in their kids.
Yeah.
And that gives me the biggest buzz now, because I find not many people do sports or any hobby for a long period.
No.
Like we find in our game. You know, it's pretty amazing when someone spends 10, 15, 20 years doing something they love.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think that's the same with careers now. Like we were talking, like for you to be in your vacation for like 35 odd years, that's rare now. Like, to do any sport or any job even, like I know people who are 40 and have had 3 careers already, like, or been done one sport full on for a few years and then just stopped. Like to do something now for 30 years plus is just, it's getting less and less.
Yeah, I went to a lecture by the police commissioner a few years ago, and he was saying he expects his police officers to only be in the job 10 years.
Yep.
It's no longer that, and same with the fire service, it's no longer a 30-year career. It's people do it for 10, 5, 10, 15 years, then move on.
So you'd be the old dog around the sort of the station and that sort of thing, would you?
I never used to think I was, but when I look around the last
I am.
I am, yeah.
Funny, you'd probably still give a couple of the young pups a run for their money, I'm sure. Family wise.
Yeah, I married my wife Sandy about 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And we got a 19-year-old boy.
Okay.
He's doing journalism at university, and he loves his sport. Wants to be a sports broadcaster.
Okay.
I
probably didn't have much of a choice. It just would have been around him, just the whole sporting aspect and the physicality, wouldn't
it? Yeah. We sort of never pushed him.
No.
At all. He just graduated to football and cricket, and he's pretty decent at cricket. That's his sort of chosen sport.
Mm-hmm.
I never played cricket as a boy, but he seems to enjoy it and likes the game and watches all the TV on it and knows everybody and plays himself. So
yeah,
that's
good.
what he's in.
It's funny, but even like the work ethic, and this is what I am finding with my kids, like 16 and 13 now, they're still doing martial arts, but they're just finding their groove. And like my oldest she's like getting right into music, and because we do the different martial arts here, like my youngest is really taken into the jiu-jitsu, probably over the Muay Thai, but then the eldest is in the Muay Thai. So, and like you said, if you try and steer them, it's just not going to work. So you just let them find their way. As long as they're moving, as long as they're liking what they do, I think that's the main thing.
Yeah. You don't want to put extra pressure on them, because you can see they do get the pressure from other kids and parents and stuff like that. They go, oh, he's so-and-so's son, he must be good, or, he must be able to do this well. And they feel it.
If you have a talk to mine, they would very much, yeah. And that's the thing I say to them too, your surname, doesn't make it your own name. Like my oldest Lila, she will quite often get called Kyla because she's just so like me. And it was funny for the first couple of years, but now it's almost like offensive. Like just let her be her.
Yeah.
They have to find their own way. And I mean, they will work it out themselves. Or otherwise you just have these carbon copies, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. I have a saying that, let your mentor, your instructor show you the path, you just lead the way.
Yeah. 100%.
They'll point in the direction, you just go there and find out for yourself.
Do you find now, like you said, you've got these kids 20 plus odd years, do you find you kind of have one biological son, but now you have all these other inherently, family members and that sort of thing now? It's funny, isn't it? How like you just have these surrogate kids as well.
Yeah, in a way, Kyle, but that, I don't know, because whether it's just how I look or whatever, but no one, they're still scared of me if I walk into a room where everyone's chatting and all of a sudden it stops, which I find it very good for work. Getting the troops in line and pulling in.
Yeah.
Lunchtime and whatever when we need to do duties. But if I walk into the dojo and all the kids are walking around, next thing you know, they're all sitting on their knees.
I know, it's great, isn't it? Like, I mean,
but no one's chatting to you as a father figure. It's all casually. It's all get them out. Yeah,
it's funny. And I mean, you probably see this, like when you're taking a class, even kids or adults, compared to when another instructor's taking a class. the kids don't misbehave or they don't know they're listening. And the other instructors go, how do you fucking do that? I said, oh, they just don't do it for me.
The biggest shock I got once when I found out that one of my students' kids had a poster of me on the wall, and I just didn't even like think of myself like that. Like, it's just, wow. It's
so
amazing.
here's a funny story for you. I had a girl grading recently, and she was doing our green belt grading where she had to blue belt, where she had to, and us do iron horse form. Her mum had videoed me doing it and then had frame by frame picked them apart, put it on a poster, laminated it, and put it on the toilet door. So when the toilet shut and she was sitting on the toilet, she could practice her iron horse. And I just went, I don't know if I'm honored, a bit creeped out, a little bit awkward. I said, I think it's all rolled into one. Was interesting. I said, are we going to do this for the next one as well? Oh, yeah. No, I get it. It's an interesting thing. All right. So, as always, way more than 7 minutes. But just to touch on quickly your role in the fire service. So, what is your role? Like, what would I call you? Like, at a barbecue, what would you say? Where you're at now?
So, like I said, I was a firefighter, and then I graduated to being a station officer, which required a bit more extra study and sort of 3 months of another schooling or another recruit course. And I did that because you stay on the trucks. So, but you're in a more of a leadership role. You make decisions. You decide how and why things are going to get done.
So you never wanted to be on a desk. You wanted to stay hands-on.
Correct. Yeah, I did get offered an interview with the chief one year, and he went up there and he outlined a plan for me to become the chief over time. Up that, not the chief, but up that high, up that way. And I just said to him, I didn't join the fire service to work behind a desk. I joined here because I wanted to work outside and help people. And
they
didn't take that too well. But I have ventured in doing various jobs behind a desk, but I didn't like it too much.
Yeah, right. Okay. It's and I think, to be honest, from what I'm picking up, you're probably of much better use in front of the desk than behind it, I reckon.
Yeah, I picked up a lot of skills on the way, though. I did fire investigation for a few years, which is a different field, and the rescue field is a little bit different as well, because you can branch out on different subjects and matters. And I did urban search and rescue as well, which means you go to earthquakes and disasters around the world and help out in a broader scale.
That would have really
we ended up going to New Zealand when they had the Christchurch earthquake in 2011.
That would have been amazing, traumatic, and just all at once, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it was amazing. We flew over there on a C-130 plane, which is just like a plane with no seats, or a bus with wings and no seats, just sitting on the floor with all the luggage and the noise. It was different. Yeah, it was fun. But I got the opportunity to do a lot of training courses in Singapore and New Zealand and every state in Australia I've been to. So I've had a great career, and definitely had it.
Definitely. Well, we'll probably learn more about that soon. But let's go on to question number 2. 3 reasons you get out of bed every morning.
First thing I do when I get out of bed, Kyle, is have a swim.
How close to the beach do you live?
Only probably a couple 100 meters.
Oh, God.
But I've got a pool as well, so I just jump in the pool. It's just an in and out, and not the colder the better. Just gives me a bit of a wake up.
Is it just, and it's just a thing that's just you've always...
Yeah, I got into this cold therapy a few years back, and I'm thinking of buying a cold pod thing.
An ice bath?
Ice bath, yeah.
I got a portable one. I got a portable one for Christmas. I'm getting, and I've loving the cold therapy, and I've been doing saunas and stuff as well. For my body, I don't know. You wonder sometimes whether you do this stuff because everyone else says it's good. You go, oh, this is good too. But I can definitely feel a difference from having done it semi-regularly, for sure.
Because I wake up not jumping out of my skin.
No, me neither.
And so I just make my way to the pool, jump in, stay in the water. And I like the sense of sense you get under there, and I come out and I'm a renewed man.
Okay. Yeah. Very good. Number 2?
Then I do a stretch.
Yep.
Yeah, I get into the stretching now, mainly my lower back and shoulders, and it's something I've never done over my whole life, stretch. So I'm not very flexible, but I'm getting
as I say, you got the flexibility of a lump of driftwood, or
yeah, pretty much. So I'm realizing now that you need some flexibility, and it helps move about a bit better when you get older.
Because with all due respect, how old are you, Wayne?
61.
Wow. So as I'm 49 this year, and I think probably in the last 2 years in particular, as I say, all my she'll be right moments have officially caught up with me. When did you realize I need to be more proactive in this department, so I can just keep doing something? What was the sort of the age where you went, this is not funny anymore?
Well, I do it. It's my own fault because I do it to myself. I can't help it.
Yeah, we all do.
I was at a CrossFit gym doing CrossFit for something different, and someone asked me to do some bench press.
I think I remember this. You tore your pec, didn't you?
Tore my pec, yeah.
Oh, that's a horrible injury.
But I had the whole gym giving me a clap and cheering me.
Why?
Because I thought, there's no way this guy's going to lift this weight. And I think it was about 150 kilos or something like that, which I hadn't done for 20 or 30 years.
But that doesn't mean anything.
No, I know. And you don't need a warm up, right?
No. Warm up.
Yeah. So
how long ago was that?
That was, about 2 or 3 years ago.
You still feel it?
No, had surgery and it's good. But now it just made me realize that the heavy weights, I'm not into it now, and do more repetitions and body weight work.
So your training is sort of similar to me now. It's not longevity, it's more longevity now than anything else.
Yeah. Yep.
So here's the quick. Sorry, keep going.
Sorry, mate. I've just realised that there's no point doing squats and deadlifts and bench press. It doesn't really serve a purpose. I'd rather get flexibility in my shoulders, and I do chin-ups and stuff, push-ups. Still do 100 push-ups on the drop in the spot, but only because I tell my guys that once you get black belt, you should be able to do 100 push-ups. That's the minimum. And if you can't do it any time of the day, well, you better start practicing.
So how do you, we all have an ego to a sense. You've had a very physical martial arts childhood, I guess you would say. You're 60 plus years old now. Is there just those times where you now go with the training, okay, I think that's as much as I have, and you just let the young bucks keep going? Or do you how do you keep that under control now so you don't tear another pec or do something else?
Well, I've only realised this the last couple of years, Kyl.
So have I.
20 years to figure it out.
And I'm exactly the same. Like I've got like a 19-year-old, I've got a 20-year-old, a 24-year-old purple belts, and they're both fighting and they're young, they're fit, you know, and they were both, well, one of them wasn't even born when I started jiu-jitsu. So for me, it's just, you know, there'll just be stuff that I just physically can't keep up with them anymore, but I've still got other little tricks, as you probably have too. But I think we just realized that that's maybe not what we're in it for anymore.
No, well, I've was in class doing a lot of grappling and I popped a rib. And I couldn't get up off the ground. It was like totally shot out of not out of my skin, but out of the rib cage. And luckily it was at the end of class. So I bowed everyone out and I just stayed on the ground on my knees, not flinching or not showing any sign of pain, but it was absolutely killing me. I couldn't get to my feet and I bowed everyone out and I just stayed there. I said, I'm going to just keep meditating. And I could hear him walking out going, wow, that guy's meditating after all that. And then everyone left and then I ended up getting myself to hospital.
Isn't it funny? And I mean, like, you just, I don't know, it's not that you give up, but you just have to realize that there's just things that just aren't, you know, and it doesn't mean you've failed or anything like that. It's just that part of your life is just, that's done. It was fun. And now there's other focuses, isn't there?
Yeah. So getting back to your other question. So what I do now is just get trained with someone in my own way of thinking.
Yep.
So Rod and I do jiu-jitsu together. So we roll together. So we know how hard and how not hard to go. Yeah.
Do you find that you are sometimes the prize, but still, like, if I can last with Wayne, I can last with anyone? Do you just sort of distance yourself from that sort of methodology?
Yeah, I try and distance myself, but Rod told me years and years ago, if someone challenges you, you just finish them off fast.
Get it out. Get it done.
Get it out of the way. Because you're going to run out of steam. So I do that. So if someone says, oh, can I roll with you? I go, no worries. But I'm going to give it 30 seconds of my best effort and then see how we go after that. Yeah.
We're doing this and we're doing this quick.
Yeah.
Health-wise, is there any other things that are a real focus for you now?
Yeah. I've just had a hip replacement.
Wow.
Through arthritis. So I had a full hip replacement about 6 months ago.
Do you literally feel like a new person now?
It's still getting back.
Funky.
I think I've got a better stretch. But I'm not willing to kick because I don't
want to test it.
It dislocates pretty easily apparently. So
okay.
I don't want to do a roundhouse or a side kick just in case it keeps going. But I do feel like it is more flexible. But I got to a stage where I couldn't walk unless I'd warmed up a lot. And in a heated training or battle, it was fine. But it's the cold mornings or just walking during the day when you're just doing normal stuff, shopping, and just was in so much pain. Got an MRI, and then the doctor said, this has got to come out. I'm surprised you're walking. And it was pretty simple operation and done the rehab. But as usual, I go too hard on the rehab and, you know, 1 step forward, 2 steps back, but I'm getting there.
Very good. We'll probably touch on that a bit more later. But is there a third reason you get out of bed every morning?
Yeah. So 3 days a week, I go down the surf club and train these young surf boat boys. And after that, I go get myself a sea bowl.
Ah.
Yeah, I'm addicted to them now. They're just so good.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
With the surf boats now, you're, you know, clearly training kids that, you know, you would, you know, wouldn't even thought of when you were doing it in your heyday. Do they ever go, what do you know about this, old man? Or can you still go, like, do they have that? What am I trying to say? Because I have this with guys in here. For example, the jiu-jitsu guys, leg locks and knee bars and all the rest of it, and then I'll, pop a leg lock on them or something. And I go, oh, I said, oh, you didn't think the old guy actually knew how to do that shit, did you? Like, do you find that they, you've got this little thing with them where they will still understand that you've still got something to offer after all these years in it?
Yeah. So like if someone hasn't rolled up for training and I can get someone else to sweep the crew, I go, oh, I'll row.
Yeah. And they will, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Although last couple of weeks ago, every time we finished the training session, we go for a swim. Might come out 300 or 400 meters, or outdoor buoy that ski paddlers use or something.
Yeah.
On a nice day, swimming out there, and one of the boys goes, there's a shark on the bottom feeding. Not a white pointer, it was a bull shark or something.
You've got a fair few of them out your way, don't you?
Yeah, and they all turned around and bolted to the shore. And I was bolting too, but I'm not, can't swim as good as what I used to. I'm yelling out, coming back and save me, you guys. Never swam so fast in my life.
Doing your best dog paddle.
Yeah. Oh, geez, they all left me for dead, and I got into them when I got there.
Yeah, thanks for the backup, boys.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Question number 3. 2 guilty pleasures that you have.
I do like my apple pie, and I do like fruit and nut chocolate.
I think you're allowed to have that.
Yeah.
Is there a particular, what would you say, a particular moment in time that you go, this is an apple pie moment, or this is a fruit and nut chocolate moment? Like, is it sitting on the couch? Is it on a Sunday night, or what is it?
I've got to get it before everyone else gets it. So if I start a block, I've got to have the whole lot. I'm not one of those people that can only have two bits and put it back in the fridge.
Righto.
I'm pretty good as far as discipline goes. If I'll have it on a Sunday night, then that'll be it for a month, But yeah, I'm sort of a believer in you can eat and do what you want as long as it's in moderation, and you don't feel bad about it. If you feel bad about it, don't do it.
I mean, you've always been in shape. You've always been healthy. So I mean, like you said, it's all the, if you have that little bit of guilty pleasure, it's all the other hours that you're not doing it too, isn't it?
Yeah. As long as you're not having it every night. That's what I believe, because it's not going to change you in one sitting. So
you're not going to put on 10 kilos.
Yeah.
Apple pie with ice cream or cream?
Oh yeah, ice cream. Yeah, definitely. Not a cream guy. My mum used to make the best apple pies.
So there's a history there.
Yeah. Just with the fresh apples and that. But now I just find a bakery that makes them fresh, and have one every now and then.
Do you find you like buy it and like whisk home and like sort of try and incognito, like, before anyone tries to steal it all off you or anything?
Yeah, I'll eat it in the car on the way home.
Beautiful.
No one knows about it until they see a crumb on my car seat.
I was going to say, and throw the paper bag somewhere else so they can destroy the evidence. Nice one. All right, question 4. One thing you bought that has literally made you happy every day after.
I don't know if you've seen them, but they're like a back roller, like a little peanut shaped.
Oh, yeah. So like they've got the 2 trigger ball things and they're joined together.
Yeah, but they're like 2 tennis balls taped together.
Yeah.
Mate, that is unbelievable. I take it to traveling, work, home, just have it in my bag, because sitting in front of a phone or a computer, you punch a lot. I find my posture gets bad real quick, and I was one of those guys that went to the chiropractor every couple of times a week.
Yeah.
A few years ago, and it was costing me a fortune, but it was working. But since I found this ball, I just do it myself, and it's just feels good as well. Get the pressure points, and it's works well.
Do you see yourself? I have this conversation with Helen about retiring. I mean, like, from martial arts, and I don't think I ever will. Like, I can't, like, I'm already stepping it back. Like I'm definitely not as doing the physicality that I was 10 years ago. But can you see yourself always doing some sort of movement, some sort of, something like that? Like you'll never really stop?
Yeah, because when people ask, oh, when you've last done some karate on someone, or just say, well, you don't really pick and choose. That's how you are. That's how you live.
Yeah.
So yeah, to answer your question is just like you. I just in some way, I might get into weaponry, or I might do Tai Chi or something like that. But I'm always going to be doing something. It's not something I just think about. Just do because it's like a way of life, I guess. So if you have to think about something, it means it's not part of you.
Yeah.
Just naturally.
Well, that's it. And again, we've done it so long. It's I mean, you'd probably be like me. There's not a lot of moments in the day or there isn't a full day where you don't think about something relating to martial arts.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. It's just it's an amazing field because you can never get bored. Like other things, you can reach a peak and then stop, like footy and rugby players, they have a career, they stop, that's it. Whereas in our business, you just keep going, move on.
Yeah. And there's, like you said, there's always something new. There's always, you'd be now learning as much from your students now, like me, you're learning as much from your students as you are from those above you.
Yeah. Yeah. They pick up things in different ways than how we were taught. And then sometimes they will say something back to you and you go, oh yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely, it's constantly evolving. It's annoying, I guess to put cards on the table, it's annoying sometimes where you hear those people who generally aren't training anymore saying it's not as hard as it used to be, or it's easier, or it's, this and that. And you go, yeah, but look how much we've evolved.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's kids now, especially like, for us here, and you probably be the same, like kids with learning difficulties, kids with autism, ADHD, that 30 years ago, 20 years ago, even they'd have done a class and they would have just, oh, they can't train. They're too disruptive. They're too naughty. How many good martial artists did we miss out on because we were just idiots?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah, we just open it up to everyone now, and everyone finds their groove. That's the best thing about it. And they don't have clones of you either, like the old styles where they're clones of each other. They develop their own field, their own taste of things, and move on from there.
Yeah, 100%. Question 5. One thing everyone thought you were crazy doing, but you did it anyway, and it paid off.
Got the opportunity to spar Randy Couture once.
Oh yeah,
and people were saying, "What are you doing?"
So for those who don't know, Randy Couture is probably quite the god. If you watch any of the Expendables movies, every movie there's a joke in there about him and his cauliflower ears. But yes, he is one of the original real men, like pioneers of MMA. So tell us more about that.
So Justin and myself, my friend Justin and myself, we got the opportunity to train and meet him. And he was doing a seminar, and a guy challenged him, tried to beat him up. And he absolutely just pile drive this guy into the ground, basically for being a dick. And then he said, "Right, who's next?" And then I said, raised my finger, said, "Oh, I'll go. Come over here. Might as well just try my best." And everyone's going, "Don't do it. He's just killed this guy." And anyway, as it worked out, he was the nicest guy. Just met his family afterwards and went out to dinner with him. It was just worked out well because he showed him some stuff that he didn't know, and it was good. The funny thing was, I said to Justin and I, who were both ride with him, take a photo. And he got a photo okay. It's Randy Couture on top of me, and you could see my legs poking out underneath.
That's me under there. That's me under there. Oh, he got a photo all right. That's hilarious. That's probably just that other thing where you don't know if you don't ask, do you?
Yeah. Then I got into after that, actually, I started volunteering for things, when you're doing a course or any volunteers, and I go, yep. And because I didn't mind then feeling like an idiot, because in my mind, I was thinking, well, I'm having a go and I'm actually learning something and getting some experience. And the people who sit back and were complaining, they actually had no idea, because they were getting the experience, and they're only talking from not having experience, not actually having done it. So I felt more privileged and better by doing things like volunteering or putting myself in a situation where I knew I was going to muck up, but just experiencing the embarrassment or the pain or the whatever that went with it. I sort of lapped it up, didn't mind.
It's those constant learning patterns too, isn't it? Like there's always something fresh to learn. And if you sit back, then you don't learn anything. And that's where our brain will stop working, and we won't be taking in new information. So yeah, I think it's good, mate. I'll be honest, I would have had trouble putting my hand up, but then you do it and you go, oh, that wasn't so bad anyway.
It makes you, it's helping at work when you make a decision and something's gone wrong, as in there's a bad fire in a building and it's busted another room and going ahead, and you think, oh, well, I'm not going to go ahead with that decision. I'll have to make another one and change it. Rather than just going down this path of disaster after disaster and trying to patch a hole. I believe, okay, I made a bad decision or one that didn't work. I'm just going to change it now and do something else.
Yeah.
As long as you can justify things, you're fine.
Question 6. 4 things you cannot live without, animate or inanimate.
So the back roller is one of them. As I found out, Kyl, probably when I turned 50, actually, I needed glasses, but I was in denial for a while.
Yeah. I'm hearing you.
Sandy and I were out for dinner with our friends, and it's dimly lit, and there's a plate of prawns on what I thought was white rice. And I got myself a plate of this prawns and white rice, and I just shoved it down my gob as quick as I could, realizing afterwards that the rice was actually rock salt.
I thought that's where you were going.
So I thought, okay, because I did have trouble reading the menu as well, but I sort of got away with it.
Yeah.
Just ordering whatever someone else had ordered.
I'll have what he's having. I'll have the steak.
Yeah. I'll have what he's having. Yeah, but now I find can't go anywhere without my glasses. Got to read the fine print.
Yeah, I'm the same, mate. It took me, I think, 46 years to have that first pair, and I went, oh, I think that was a good run.
Yeah, I was always blaming the light or the something. Well, it's too dark in here, or
because I read a fair bit, and that was for me, it was the reading, and then I was sort of not taking it in. But were you like me? And then the first time you put them on and you read something, you're like, this is like fucking HD. It's like 4K. This is great. This book actually makes sense now.
Yeah, well, I was changing the hot water system here, and I was ringing up the plumber, and he goes, what model is it? And it was underneath the hot water system, and I got my head under there, and I honestly couldn't read the model number or anything. And I said, mate, I'm on the phone. I can't. And he just told me how to take a photo of it
and blow it up.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. What's number 3?
Obviously, my wife, Sandy, and we've got a little dog, cavoodle dog.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, Sandy keeps me in line, and the dog's good for patting and
Isn't
getting,
it funny? Like I'm the same. I had German Shepherds and like, these big dogs when I was growing up.
yeah.
Now we've got, two dogs with an average weight of under 10 kilos. Like, what is it with us guys having little dogs as we get older?
And you like having them sit on your lap. It's
I
just,
know. Let's just give him a cuddle.
yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. I was the same, had a bull mastiff.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but that was a sort of dog that wouldn't jump on you,
No.
wouldn't lay on the couch and all that type of thing. But this one is fine. Doesn't lose hair. And
What's your dog's name?
Sam.
Oh.
It's a girl, but it's Samantha, but Sam for short. But yeah, she's getting on 14 now, so getting old, but still
probably
still
putting in a fair bit of couch time.
Yeah.
Now last one.
Oh, I got recently into free diving.
Okay.
Did a free diving course and absolutely loved it.
Just for something else.
Yeah. So I find the solitude underwater is amazing.
Mm.
And I did have my scuba diver's ticket, but didn't go out much because of logistics and you need someone with a boat and everything.
It's a bit of an exercise, isn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, with this free diving under the water, it just feels so at home. I feel solace. You can't think about anything because you can't hear anything. All you can do is visualize or see the coral or the fish or the sand, wherever you are. So I'm really got into it.
Because of your work would be hectic. The club would be hectic. So you're running you're essentially working two jobs. Is switching off an issue for you?
Yeah. So I can never switch off. I never had a good night's sleep in my life. I can't remember the last good night's sleep I've had.
Because you would have got like shift work for 35 odd years.
Yeah. So the shift work, every noise, I wake up, your body clock's out, always jumpy and always alert.
Is that something from the fireys? Like, because you would have had situations waking up in the middle of the night and you just got to go?
Yep. So you're hyperactive. So you hear a noise or because what happens at work when you get a call, there's a speaker comes on and there's a little crack in the speaker before the announcement tells you to go. And so if you hear that a little crack anywhere, it could be someone stepping on a leaf or speaker, making a bit of noise. You're always heightened. But I was one of those guys at work that you're allowed to rest. You're allowed to rest and have downtime. But I was one of those guys that just always kept it pretty active, stayed awake fully throughout the whole night, then went home during the day and did stuff as well.
Yeah.
Now I'm finding I do need a nap every now and then just to catch up. But I'm finding the diving is just solace, and I'm improving my breath holding. So I bought a watch.
Yeah.
Because it tells you how deep you go and it tells you how long you can stay underwater. So
where are you at?
So I did the course and you had to do prerequisite was to hold your breath for 1 minute. So I went, oh, that's it. That's easy. Like
Probably a lot harder than people think.
It is. I thought because I used to hold my breath when I was a kid, like time myself.
Yeah.
So I used to do it. So I did it on the day. 30 seconds.
Can we do that again?
So then you get taught these relaxing techniques and so forth. And on the second day, I did it for 3 minutes 20.
So what was the secret? What's the difference?
Well, slowing the blood circulation down, slowing the heart rate down.
Yeah.
Because blood to the limbs, uses oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to save all your oxygen, so it's just used in your lungs only, not. So you got to totally relax. And the thing I found out which is a bit of a trick, is when you got the urge to breathe, which is when you're struggling to breathe. That's only about 50-60% of your air.
Yeah, right.
So you still got another 40% left before you got no air left, or until you pass out.
Yeah.
Underwater wise, it might give you another minute.
Do you
Gotta push through.
how often do you get out?
Well, I was going to go out tomorrow, but the wind's changing, so we have an island.
Where do you go? Do you have is there wrecks or reefs or something like
There's
that?
wrecks on the coast, and there's also Rottnest, which is an island 12
Yes.
off the coast, which is very lovely. But tomorrow the wind's blowing the wrong way, so not suitable. But yeah, some awesome spots along here, down south of Margaret River and yelling up around there, always good as well.
It's funny, Helen and I have had this conversation before about, needing a hobby. And I will say, well, I've got a hobby. I do martial arts. She goes, that's not your hobby. That's your job.
Yeah.
You need a hobby. I went, okay. So yeah, I rode BMX a lot when I was a kid and raced, and probably in the last couple of years got back into mountain biking. And it's the same sort of thing. When those hands are on the bars and I'm going down a hill, I ain't got time to think about anything else but what's in front of me.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I think we need that hobby and that time that's ours, because you'd have the same thing. You coming in and training in, in your own club, sometimes that's a lot harder because everyone wants a piece of you. But yeah, to have that thing that's yours is important.
Yeah. Yeah. Gives you that peace of mind, and you just totally disengage from for a while, and
yeah, good. Very good. Very good. All right. Number 7. If you weren't doing in life what you're doing right now, what would have been option number 2?
When I was at school, I was thinking of becoming a phys ed teacher.
Yeah. I could see you doing that.
But at the time, everyone wanted to do that.
Yeah.
And they were saying, you can do it at uni and so forth, but the chances of finding a job are pretty remote. And then I got a job as an electrician, and started that. Left school, did that, and I would probably still be in that field.
Yeah.
Had my own business, did no advertising, just went on word of mouth. Got to work all over West Australia. It was not too bad, but hard work, and but the rewards were good. And but then when the opportunity came to join the fire service, I thought that was better.
Yeah,
because it gave the shift work of 4 days on, 4 days off, gave me the opportunity to do my recreational activities.
Yeah, right.
In a way that I didn't have to, work the next day.
Was the where did that opportunity arise, or how?
I think it might have been in the paper. My mate who was in the surf club with, we both applied at the same time and got in. Both of us got in. And then we both got in this state surf lifesaving team the same year we got in the surf life into the fire brigade, and they said, "Which one do you want to do?"
Oh man,
we had like a trip to Queensland or a job. So we thought, okay, we better take the job.
Yeah. Do you I mean, you like looking back on that now, that decision, and then everything you've done in that particular field in 35 years, you've probably done a lot of good in that time, haven't you?
Yeah. 100%, mate. I love helping people and seeing not the satisfaction they get, but knowing that in some way you've helped them in a bit. The good thing about being a firefighter is someone's always happy to see you. They're not.
That's true.
You're there for a reason. It's there. You're not there to hurt them or lock them up or drag them out of somewhere.
That's a very good way at looking at it.
Or try them out of a pub. You're there and they're glad to see you. So
you're not there for a cup of tea.
No, if they see an ambulance or police that someone's hurt or someone's going to get arrested, or not all the time, but that's the view. And we get seen as different, so people treat us a little bit differently, and it's a good job.
I guess to touch on it, you've seen a lot of good, but there's also been, you would have your share of stuff, I guess we'd say, that, people you've tried to help that you couldn't help. That, if you had one of your teenagers in class that comes up to you and goes, I want to be a firefighter like you, would you recommend it to them, or would you say, do it, but do this because I didn't do it and I've paid for it?
Yeah, I would say that, but it's hard because you don't want to over glamorize something, but the other side of it, you don't want to discourage people from doing it.
Because how many kids in primary school, when someone asks them what they want to be when they grow up, I want to be a firefighter.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's not without its share of stuff that you'll just never be able to wipe out of your head.
No, the last couple of years, or your last couple of years, actually, I've been hit with some PTSD, and it just happened all of a sudden. I was watching TV, 60 Minutes it was, and I just got emotional and upset over what I saw on the television, and just because it reminded me of something that I'd seen years beforehand. Couldn't understand why I had that memory, and so I sought out a psychologist. And yeah, they were saying everything that we see, we actually don't forget. We just compartmentalize it and put it in the back of the brain, bring it up at a further date if needed. But a lot of the things we see, in childhood and growing up, we just forget about, or it's there, but we don't draw on that memory quite often. But some things get slotted away, and when things come up, the memory just comes out. I was told that people that have had a traumatic birth sometimes can remember if they've, or was a baby and had trouble breathing, or something that had happened. Later on down the life, they know that something happened to them when they were a baby. They can remember it. Yeah.
Do you find, I'm trying to work on the words for this, like, people would say that something was traumatic, and not that it's a competition, but you would, what your definition of traumatic compared to what maybe other people's definition of traumatic, you would have seen some pretty horrible things. Do you, like you said, you don't ever shut it out, but is there ever a point it becomes normal?
I guess yes, but like you were saying, traumatic is different to different people. So I've seen people that have been totally squashed by concrete walls and dismembered by jumping under a train. But yet that is insignificant to if I see someone that might remind me of friend or child.
Yeah.
That's the type of thing that is more upsetting for me.
Yeah.
The gore of something. I've seen decapitated heads. It's not good to look at, but didn't affect me as much as seeing a boy who'd lost his parents in an earthquake.
Yeah.
Every time I think of that boy, it upsets me, but it was just a boy sitting on the fence waiting for his mum and dad to come home, and they weren't coming home because they went to work that morning in Christchurch and never came home.
And that's the sort of stuff, like you said, we deal with it our own way, or our, not the right way, but it's there forever. And so, I mean, let's go on a tangent here again. You're 60 plus. There would be a lot of men your age and even my age that sort of stuff, like you said before, they compartmentalize it, they put it to the side, and hopefully it'll never show up again, stick their heads in the sand. Your time when you actually had that admission that, yep, there's not something wrong with me, but there's something I need to address, and your vulnerability, was that a bit liberating for you to go, I'm not a freak, there's, this is a normal feeling for me to have?
Yeah, initially it was. I felt very uncomfortable. I felt,
Because your age and our age of people, men, is still this time where it's getting better, but talking about this stuff, we don't do this.
No, and I was being seen at work as the guy that can withstand anything, tough as nails. Is a fire. This is the guy that's going to run through the front door, shoulder. That's another story. But yeah, then I did this course that was recommended to me, and on the course was guys from the police service and defence forces, and we had exactly the same thoughts and exactly the same symptoms, even though we were in different fields: police, army, navy, and fire service. And that's when I thought, and they all thought the same as well. It's like, wow,
I'm not alone.
Yeah, not alone, and it's actually something, because, hey, I thought that as well, and I was feeling those things because of this. It's just it's a real eye opener.
How do you manage it? How can you manage it?
Well, you manage it by keeping yourself grounded. So by doing martial arts is good. So katas, it's like a meditation, as we know.
Can you I guess, for want of a better word, can you catch it now? Like, if you can sort of sense when it's starting to happen and you can catch it a bit?
Yeah. You learn tools to deal with it when it happens, but it is hard to catch it because it's an automatic thing. You can't stop a thought from happening in your brain. But so it's more of just reacting to that thought quicker than what you'd normally do.
So I guess the final thing, like I said, getting back to that teenage boy that says he wants to join the fire, is you'd encourage him to be more, like you said, you were the guy who would jump through the building and do all that sort of stuff. Just be more upfront with how you feel.
Yeah. And I made the mistake of protecting all the young guys from seeing.
Which in turn meant you wore more.
Yeah. So I would say to the recruit, "Oh, you don't need to see this. Nothing we could do. We just had to cover the body under a train or something, or someone who's jumped off a building, clean them up. That was our job. So I would say, "Oh, you don't have to see this. I'll do it." That in a way was not the right thing to do, because I'm not spreading the load. So I was taking it all in, and over time it just adds up.
But I guess you did that because, like you said, the martial arts side of things, and I guess you in general, you're the protector.
Correct. Yeah. And they saw me like that at work, and you gain a lot of respect. And yeah, it was a good feeling.
One time, so number 8, one time you have backed yourself when everything was saying to just give up. Oh, he's smiling. This might be a touchy one.
Yeah, it could be. I've got 2 stories. One is one time
Here we go, folks.
I had a TIA, which is like a stroke.
Yep.
And I was at work, actually, and one side of my face, I got a massive headache, so I knew something was wrong. And then I looked in the mirror, and one side of my face is all droopy. You couldn't see out of one eye. The mouth dropped. Had a massive headache. So I didn't tell anyone. Still did my job until the morning, and then I crawled basically half a kilometre on the streets of Perth to the hospital. Thinking to myself that I wasn't going to make it. So it wasn't someone telling me that I couldn't do it. It was myself saying I'm not going to make it.
Yeah,
but
right.
Then I had something else inside me saying, yes, you are. You're going to make it. So there's a battle of control of my own thoughts. with my body, with my brain going, you're going to die. Just lay here and give up. And the other side of me was going, no, I'm crawling into the emergency department. But the stupid thing I did was I didn't ask for help either. Did not hold my hand up and say, look, listen, I need help here. I just did it myself, which is, a wrong thing to do in a way. Because I didn't want to impose any impact on anyone else.
This seems to be a thing with you, and like, I'll be honest, this is going to sound really weird, but I say to people that I talk to about you, I say, I have a definitive man crush on this guy because he is just tough, arguably too tough. Why, not why do you have a problem, but why is asking for help or taking the burden of the load such an issue for you, do you think? Why do you want to be the protector or not the savior or, like I said, not that, but like, this is just you. Like if you can take a bullet for someone, you'll do it, no problems. You stand in front of this for someone, you'll do it. Can you help me with this? Fuck no, mate. No worries. Why do you do that? Do you know why you do it?
Good question, Kyle.
Or is this just you? You've always done this.
Yeah, that's just what I've always done. And funnily enough, that's the question that psychologists ask me. Why? You don't have to. Why? And I can't answer it. It's just I don't like putting it's personality trait. So you do these tests and they tell you what sort of personality trait you have. Bind them into different things. And one of the things I have is exactly that. Whereas I don't ask for help myself, but I would help others.
Yeah.
So, if I need a hand lifting something, I always do it myself. I don't like imposing other people or taking up other people's time.
Yeah.
And I know that would help. That's the thing. I know they would help and be glad to. But my first thought is, I don't want to impose any time on them or make them feel out of place or have to or force them to do something they don't want to do.
Would you say at 60 plus years of age, you're improving at asking for help, or it's a work in progress?
Yeah, work in progress. Yeah, it's one of the things I'm working on.
How is it going? Should I ask Sandy, or can I ask you?
I don't ask Sandy. She would. So we had a pool table for sale at home, and we got a.
Is this story number 2?
No.
Oh, okay. Keep going, bud. Keep going.
It's not getting help. So I moved this pool table down this flight of stairs by myself.
Fuck. All right, as you do.
I could have gone ask the neighbour. Took a while, but I did it.
How do you even negotiate that and not?
And Sandy will go, no wonder you got a sore back. No wonder this, no wonder that. And I go, yep.
Is the sympathy count quite low in your house sometimes?
Yeah. So if I say, I've got to go to the physio, why? What have you done now? Move the fridge.
I did this all myself.
Yeah.
What's the, you said you had a second story.
So I was in Hawaii once, and there was an incident that happened inside a club. And I had nothing to do with the instigation of it, but I had something to do with it finishing.
Right.
And so I left the club on my own accord because there were no doormen left.
Roger.
Then I thought, I'm going back. This wasn't me that started this. So what had happened, stepping back a bit, is these Aussie guys are in this bar having shooters, then just throwing the shooter glass over their heads once they'd finished. But in Hawaii, it's it's a base for defence forces. So at this bar as well was these Navy SEAL guys.
Right.
And they weren't too happy with all these shot glasses landing on their head.
Yep. Go on.
So someone's come up to me and poked me in the chest saying, stop throwing these glasses. And I had no idea what was happening. But it was people who I was with.
Mm.
So push came to shove, and I did more shoving than pushing, and ended up cleaning up probably a dozen guys. I don't know how. And end up I said, look, I'm just walking out. Just let me walk out. And they said, no worries. Walked out. Everyone else cleaned themselves up. And then spent an hour or so wandering around. And then I thought, no, you know what? I'm going back in because it wasn't me that started this problem.
Yeah.
And I went back in, and they changed the security staff from what they had, which because they probably had to go home or hospital, to these Hawaiians who are massive, big Tonga guys. And they were fine. They said, okay, we're letting you in, but we're watching you. So they sort of had a bit of respect, but they also knew that they weren't going to let me, wander around freely. So I felt a bit uncomfortable because it was like having your own personal bodyguards with you.
Yeah.
So I didn't feel comfortable. So I ended up just staying in half an hour, leaving anyway. But everyone was saying, don't go back in, you're going to get killed. But I just thought, no, I'm going to go back in here. I felt that I was unjustified by being picked on because of this other people, my friends. I wasn't happy with them. They caused it, but I was the one that copped it.
Yeah.
Or copped the blame anyway. But it ended up okay. But I nearly got chucked out of the country.
That would have been some camera footage I would have liked to have seen.
Yeah, well, lucky I had a mate with mine who did Zendikai as well, and he walked behind me and made sure I never got, covered me.
Yeah,
so
right.
Probably the only biggest blue I've ever been in, but it happened at a good time in my career because I'd probably just done a grading and I was feeling pretty good and
you're in shape.
In shape, yeah.
Zendikai, to touch on it, Zendikai has had its knowledge of being involved in those sorts of situations over the years. Was that something like you had a bit of violence when you were growing up in those formative years with your Zendikai, or it all stayed on the dojo floor?
Yeah, pretty much. I wasn't a violent person at all. If that happened in a situation now with boy, I was the sort of guy that would protect everyone else.
Yep. There you go again.
Yeah. When you think about it, I would save someone else from getting king hit or making sure another guy doesn't join in who doesn't need to be joined in.
Yeah.
I was that type of guy. I wasn't the one that would start anything at all. Or if something did happen, I would do it in a way where no one else would know.
Yeah.
For example, we had a function and a footy team came in and was mucking around, so to speak, with some girls inappropriately. And I knew that if I had started something then or challenged these guys, the whole footy team would have been involved and would have been a mess. So I waited for this particular I waited an hour for this particular person to be isolated, and I told him what he should have done, and then no one knew except him, and then everyone had a good time.
Yeah.
But it saved people getting hurt, people not jumping in that didn't need to be.
Yeah.
And yeah, I thought that's a good trait to have because a lot of people just would have gone off their head straight away, and
well, there's not that
things worse.
that strategic and tactical sort of thought about it. We used to call it the disappearing toilet trick. You waited till the person in question went to the toilet and they just never came back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It worked well. Question 9, 3 pieces of advice to people that are finding reasons to not back themselves to instead back themselves.
I would say to someone, control your own thoughts. So do what you want to do and make a decision based on some self-reflection.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the time we do things at a jump of a hat. But if you had the time to self-reflect, because a lot of time you haven't got that time to do it if something's happening there and then. But I would say to them, just have another breath and just think, what do I really need to get out of this here?
You've probably made a few decisions, or more than a few decisions in your life. Like, and this is probably separate to the backing yourself. Like, you've made decisions where a group of people may have thought you're making the wrong decision. You may have, lost friends. You may have tested friendships. Do you feel that staying true to yourself is always just what you need to do?
Yeah. A lot of people run with a pack. And I can see why people do that, and that's, it's okay. But if something hasn't affected you, why do you have to make a decision based on someone else's opinion of something?
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say to that person, look, just have a breath, think, and focus on what you want to do, and then focus on something else that you want to do, and then to try and be disciplined in everything you do.
Yeah.
That way it'll become a natural.
Yeah.
If you're always flying off the handle, and I always bring up the situation where people like road rage.
Yeah.
The initial thing is to shout at them back and get hot-tempered, and now I just smile and say, I'm not getting my day ruined by this guy.
That's right.
I'm going to just smile and carry on. He can have a bad day and shout at me all he likes. He's in that other car. I'm going to turn my music up.
Is that a conversation that you wish you'd had with yourself 30 or 40 years ago?
Yeah, yeah. But you learn, don't you, Kyl? You learn
you do. You do.
You learn by living and experiencing things. If you keep going down the same path, nothing's going to change. And you see it. You ask people that live poorly or live in alcoholic situations or drugs, they can't get themselves out of it.
The hole's too deep.
Yeah, it's sad, but you just got to some point in your life make a decision and follow it. If it's not for you, just get out of it. Don't let that determine what you're going to be. You determine what you want to be.
And like you said, sometimes there's casualties there, but it's about your decision, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep. And you don't have to do what the crowd thinks. If you think it's a good idea or the right thing to do, and you're happy with it, you're happy with it. No one else needs to know.
100%. Have you got another 2 pieces of advice?
Cold therapy is good for the mind.
Do you find it gives you a bit of a zing too?
Yeah, especially when I started having cold showers,
it's like you were talking about the pool. I have gotten into the habit now, like I get up quite early. Having that cold shower, just a real quick cold shower is just bang. I'm on.
Yeah. You push through that shivering bit and then, wow, you're just a new person. And also I would say them just chase their dreams or whatever they want to do. Nothing will come to you. You just got to put yourselves in situations where you can grab something if you need it.
Is there anything that, not that you wish you'd done, but something you wish you might have chased a little bit harder?
Yeah, one thing I've sort of regretted is I got a job in Antarctica once when I was younger.
Okay.
And I didn't go because my life was all about nightclubs and going out with mates and
Yeah.
cars.
What was it doing?
I was an electrician on the Antarctica, and you had to be there for a year minimum.
Ah, okay, right. Gotcha.
So I went to the interview, got the job, and they said, look, once you go, you're there for a year. And then they said, plus if it's a bad winter or whatever, the boat came in, you're there for another 6 months. So it's or possibly 18 months. And being probably 20 years old, I just said, no, not doing it. Now I wish I had done it because it would have been a great experience.
Been awesome
a year of my life now is nothing compared to a year of your life when you're that age. So I'd say to someone, yeah, just experience something comes up, do it, because you might regret it later on.
Living with regret is a very horrible thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Say hello to someone that you didn't have time for, or next thing you know, the situations have changed, and then you wish you would have done it.
Yeah.
Not very long at all.
No. And like you said, a year is a blip on the radar.
Yeah, but when you're that age, a year is like, wow.
A year is like ever, forever, like, especially at that age. There's so much I could be doing.
You don't want to miss out. I mean, even when I remember if you got sick.
Oh yeah.
Couldn't go to the pub. It was just devastating.
Couldn't go to training for a week. My life is officially over.
Yeah.
Number 10, a quote to live by.
I've got 2 quotes for you.
Okay.
Life is short for those who forget the past, neglect the present, and fear the future. That was said by a guy called Seneca. He was a Roman. Was he a Roman senator?
He's one of the original Stoics.
Yeah, he was an advisor to one of the emperors.
He was an advisor to Caesar.
Caesar, yeah. And then another one I got, this is from Eleanor Roosevelt. You can often change your circumstance by changing your attitude.
Why do those quotes, I mean, I think I know the answers, but why do they resonate with you?
Because I think initially I was probably only one of those guys that did stuff or got involved in stuff that I didn't really want to do.
Yeah.
Nothing bad or anything. Just I could have been at school, or go here or go see this movie or do anything. Yeah. And then I'm just thinking, wow, why don't I do what I want to do? As long as it's within the law and safe, healthy, and it's part of a dream. But don't always have to follow the pack. We can be individuals.
Did you feel, I guess, when you went from being a follower to not being a leader, where you are a leader, but just going your way, did that feel like things were starting to click in?
Yeah. I've never thought of it like that, but because nothing's ever bad.
No.
Even if it is, it's just another thing you just got to do in your day.
But this is, I guess, for you, you've had, you've lived, your job has been about bad. Like I said, people don't call a fiery because they want to have a cup of coffee. You're going into bad all the time.
Yeah.
You're, like I said, everyone go, this has been really bad. You go, this is nothing, So I think your perception of it would obviously really aid in the way you look at things too.
Yeah. And it's always a path forward. So you're not wasting energies and thoughts on things that can't affect you. And I'm getting into now the way of thinking that if I can't control people's thoughts, how they act, or I can't control the weather, So I'm going to enjoy it. If it's raining, I was training some fighters once, and it had a storm here, blowing a gale, raining, windy.
Mm.
And they said, "Oh, we can't run." I said, "We can." And I didn't have any shoes. I just went outside, ran for about an hour in my bare feet. We came back soaking wet. They were just still sitting around stretching and talking. I said, "There you go, boys. I've done a run. You guys haven't." I enjoyed the run. Another good story I got is Sandy and I were on a plane coming back from somewhere, and a man had a child. He must have somehow, the wife wasn't there or something. He had a baby, and the baby was crying, going off its head, like crying. People were going nuts in the plane, like, get this kid, blah, blah, blah. Kid couldn't stop crying, right?
It's a baby. That's what they do.
And it needed its mother.
Yeah.
And that's what I was thinking. That's what babies do. Live with it. I'm going to have my glass of wine and continue on. I'm not going to complain.
Just going to turn up my headphones, and I'm just going to.
But people obviously had the worst time, and when they got to the other side, were complaining to the people and the airline. It's totally just not justified, and it's just your thought pattern. If you think that, oh yeah, the baby's cry, that's what it's going to do, I'm just still going to live with it in the background. Might not be my cup of tea, but hey, I can't stop the baby from crying.
Do you think this thought process, like I keep talking like about your work, but just like critical situations, like just life in general, you don't strike me as a guy like, I'm sure you get pissed off like everyone else, but you don't strike me as a guy who just has a temper or just goes off for the sake of going off. Do you find that you're just really able to just go with the flow? And, like there'd be no 2 days at your work that would be the same, and there'd be probably as many procedures as you have, there'd be a massive amount of winging it. Do you just find that helps, that outlook?
Yeah, because I do, if something's a matter of principle or life or death, I definitely would stick up and show my mind. But if something's just, people complain about the weirdest. I remember when I was an electrician, people would complain because they didn't have orange cordial at Smoko. And it's amazing when you sit around a table with a group of guys, what they complain about.
I'm serious. You are not wrong.
Yeah, so I don't get involved in it, and I just don't even, I just say, do what you want, because it doesn't worry me. I don't care if there's no hot coffee, because I can go home tonight and get one if I want one.
Yeah.
Or sometimes you're at jobs that you don't get lunch or dinner because you're there for 10, 12, 15 hours. People complain that they didn't get a meal break, and I say, well, depending on the situation, who cares? You're going to go home tonight or tomorrow and have your meal. These people aren't. Just, it doesn't matter. It matters when it's a life or death situation, or your family is getting threatened, or your life's getting threatened, or or your principles are getting threatened. But other than that,
and again, the things that you've seen, in life, and then people complaining about orange cordial, you just turn around and go, are we doing this? Like, is this happening? I was just doing this the other day, and you're complaining about orange cordial,
Yeah. We went to Thailand one time, and my son gave his whole pocket money to a little beggar boy on the street. And we thought, oh, that's fine, And he wanted to do it. And he was just in the way of thinking, well, I can get all this stuff, these toys and stuff back home. This kid's got nothing.
Yeah.
My problem is nothing compared to what else goes on in the world.
Yeah. It's really minuscule, isn't it?
It's a really good trait to have. We're quite proud of him.
Yeah, no, definitely. And again, our children pick up a lot of those habits from us, don't they?
Yeah. And all I say is, we hope that they're just good people. Just do the right thing. Doesn't matter what it is. As long as you think it's right, don't worry about it.
I guess one thing I've been thinking of here for the last little bit, and I guess this will be maybe you would call this question 11. What's left for you to do? Like you said, you can see yourself doing some sort of martial arts, but like, is there anything you go, fuck, I need to do that?
Well, travel's one of them, and I'm actually we've booked a trip to Slovenia before the camp this year. So I might be a bit rusty.
I reckon you'll get by. I reckon you'll be okay.
Yeah, so we're doing that, going through the process now. We're doing it's one of the reasons why I would love to come over there now and then train with Alex, but got to save every penny. It's not cheap, but yeah, we're doing Croatia, Italy, and Slovenia, and then flying back to Australia 2 days, and then over to Queensland.
Oh, geez. So yeah, you are literally doing a quick turnaround.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we'll take you when we can get you.
So yeah, travel, mate. I like going parts. I like now. I think I want to go to parts of the world that are different and haven't been to, and experience a bit of culture. And, experience a bit of living the life rather than if I go somewhere, I usually train. It's usually for training or exercise. Now I want to sort of people watch and see how other people live and learn off them.
Yeah, and like we were saying, our priorities change, our purpose might alter a little bit. For me, yeah, it's much the same. Just, spending that time, like for me, it's like I didn't travel until I didn't go overseas for the first time until I was 32. So it was like I'm grabbing it every time as much as I can now. But there's all these places that are left to do, and yeah, you don't have to train at every single one. You can just actually enjoy it a little bit.
Yeah, although it is good to train because 1 year Justin and I went around the world. So we wanted to test ourselves against all the best martial artists in all the different styles. Whether it be Taekwondo, Savat in France, Jiu-Jitsu, boxing, and karate.
Yeah.
We picked the best people that we could get to train with.
How did you go?
Well, we did okay. Obviously, there's people that are good at their fields.
Yeah.
But we were okay at everything.
Yeah.
Which was good because the karate guy's no good at jiu-jitsu and the jiu-jitsu guy's no good at Thai boxing. That's just.
I reckon that trip's a podcast in itself.
Yeah, definitely. So we found is what we do in Zen Kai is the best ever because it's adaptable and we can change and mold ourselves because we're not, and it goes in life too because we can walk down the street and life changes. We're not always in one situation.
That's so true.
The guy's not always in the bank talking to a customer. Next thing you know, he's having an argument with someone outside. So it changes. So the person who just does the one strict style can't. Whereas we realise that we're very adaptable and at a high level adaptable. So it's good. Good.
Wayne, mate, that's been a very interesting, and I'm sure there's a lot of things there that we've only scratched the surface. I think for your first podcast, you've done okay. I think you've done all right, mate.
Yeah, thanks for the invite. It was very liberating. I find it hard to talk about myself.
Yeah,
I'm always very. If I'm not taking a class, I'm very quiet. Otherwise,
you're what we call, and I'm a bit similar. It's an introverted extrovert.
Okay.
Like when you need to be on, you're on, but you enjoy nothing more. Like probably like me, like sitting at home on the porch with a coffee and just hanging out.
Yeah. Yep. I'm not one to be a life of the party or chatterbox, but yeah, thanks for the opportunity.
No, mate, it's been a pleasure. And there's as I said, I know that there's so much more to you, and the very limited interactions that I've had with you, I can see why you are, well, not just the person you are, but the person everyone looks up to and the person everyone tries to emulate. So, Wayne Spear, thank you so much for your time. It's been really good to talk to you, and I look forward to seeing you in person later on this year at our camp.
Great. Thank you, Kyl. Can't wait.
Guys, that's all for this one. When this goes live, of course, have a listen, but like, share, check out Spear Dojo if you're in Perth. It's a great place to do martial arts. You can watch any of our other podcasts. And again, take heed, because I might be asking you for a chat one day, because you got a bit of famous stuff too, I'm sure. That's all for now. Thank you, Mr. Spear. We'll stop recording and we will see you all soon. Bye-bye.